India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met Chinese Vice President Zheng on Wednesday during his visit to China to participate in the 23rd round of the Special Representatives talks. The meeting, marking the first SR dialogue between India and China in 5 years, comes at a critical time as both nations seek to stabilize and rebuild their bilateral relations. Doval, who arrived in Beijing on Tuesday, is heading the Indian delegation for the talks, which will primarily focus on the long-standing boundary dispute between the two countries. The last SR meeting took place in 2019 in New Delhi, but the subsequent years have been strained due to the military standoff along the line of actual control, that is the LAC in eastern Ladakh, which began early on in May 2020. The tensions escalated following a deadly clash in the Galwan Valley in June of that year, severely impacting diplomatic and economic relations. During their meeting, Vice President Han emphasized on the need for both India and China to gradually resume institutional dialogue and exchanges in various sectors such as economy, trade and culture in order to bring bilateral relations back to a path of stable development. He pointed out the strategic significance of China-India ties, noting that the two countries as ancient civilizations and emerging global powers have an important role in global peace and stability. Han also highlighted the upcoming 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and India, underscoring the potential for both countries to work towards a future of cooperation and mutual understanding. The two countries should implement the important consensus reached by the leaders of both sides, maintain high-level exchanges, cultivate political mutual trust, and gradually restore institutional dialogue, Han stated. He further added, by enhancing cooperation in areas such as economy, trade, and culture, we can promote the return of bilateral relations to a stable development track. In response, Doval acknowledged the significance of the resumption of SR talks after 5 years, describing it as an important step in implementing the consensus reached by the leadership of both the nations. He reiterated India's commitment to strengthening strategic communication with China, expanding mutually beneficial cooperation, and injecting new momentum into bilateral relations. The SR talks, which are a critical mechanism set up in 2003 to address the Indo-China border dispute, have been instrumental in managing recurring tensions between the two countries. While the mechanism has not yet led to a resolution of the border issue, it remains a key tool in facilitating dialogue and preventing conflict. Doval stressed that the talks are crucial for addressing the complex and sensitive boundary question, which spans 3,488 kilometers. The primary focus of this round of talks is to discuss the management of peace and tranquility in the border areas with the aim of finding a fair, reasonable and mutually acceptable solution to the boundary dispute. As agreed upon during the previous meetings between the two leaders, the SRs will also explore ways to de-escalate tensions along the LAC and ensure that such incidents do not occur again. The military standoff at the LAC and the subsequent disengagement process from the key friction points such as the Demchok and Debsang, which concluded in October, have provided an opportunity for both sides to resume dialogue and work towards restoring normalcy in their relations. Although the two countries have made progress in reducing tensions, bilateral relations, except for trade, had virtually come to a standstill for much of the past few years. The resumption of structured dialogue between India and China is seen as a positive development. Doval's visit to Beijing is the first significant engagement between the two countries aimed at restoring and strengthening bilateral ties since the military confrontation. It is regarded as a pivotal moment in addressing the long-standing issues that have strained India-China relations for decades. Over the years, the SR mechanism has held 22 rounds of talks, offering both sides an opportunity to directly address their differences and negotiate solutions to the border dispute. Despite the lack of a breakthrough in resolving the boundary issue, officials from both India and China consider the SR talks a useful and promising tool in preventing further escalation and maintaining peace along the border. With the ongoing dialogue and a clear commitment to enhancing bilateral ties, this round of SR talks is seen as a crucial step towards mending the strained relationship between the two neighboring nations.